And now we're gonna pull, the next step is to pull the shafts out of that plate. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is remove the driven gear from the pinion shaft, and we're gonna remove all of this as well. So first thing we're gonna do is grab our snap ring pliers and remove, this should not be under, the driven gear is pulled away from this, so it shouldn't really be under any pressure. Looks like this one is slightly though. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a punch here and gently tap down on that snap ring all the way around. Just gently tapping on the snap ring down to remove the tension from it. Not common that this happens, but when this happens like this, you can just use a little bit of a pry tool to free it as we squeeze it. There we go. Okay. This is our shaft 4. We pulled the snap ring off. There's going to be 2 spacer washers. Pull those off. Again, flip those upside down, put those here. Going to remove the driven gear. Pull it off. Flip it upside down. And set it here. We'll inspect that carefully later. Right now we have this spring in neutral, so we can go ahead and pull the park lock off. It has 2 more spacers here, so need to be very careful. We're going to flip that upside down as if it fell off. And then this is going to be a lot of metal buildup right here. A lot of your metal, so make sure you clean that really well. You can see how much metal is coming off. Then we can remove our park lock. And you notice the spring, short side is here, long side is here. It's sprung so that it kicks it away from the shaft. Long side, short side, and then this is that little thing we remove the bolt from. So go ahead and pull it up and off. Park lock praw, then this shaft, then this spring, and that's going to be the extent of that. Put these over here. You can only go back on one way. I'm going to go ahead and remove this spring as well because we just don't want that there. The way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to push down while I pull this off, and then this will all spring up and out. I'll show you here while we pull this out, and then put our special tool away over here. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like here. When we pull it out, this piece is always going to go under this spring, or over top of the spring, but under this head right here. And then we're going to pull it all out, and there's a little spacer washer on the bottom right here. Pull that out as well. So this is all going to go over here to be cleaned and fixed later. Okay, and then that is it. That is all that we have for this section. Next thing we're going to do is remove the 3 shafts to replace those bearings. What I've done is I've made a tool. Again, we sell this tool. It's all stainless steel, so keep it oiled and it'll last you a long time. And it will bolt up to here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what we do. We remove this from our engine stand. Maybe you need to grab some help or something, I'm not sure. It's a little bit heavy. We're going to go ahead and remove the bolts that hold it on. So our engine stand adapter is now off. And now we're going to set this plate up into our tool, okay? So let me just go ahead and make sure you can see how I'm doing this. Up onto our plate here, okay? There's a little groove that we line up there. There we are. Now we put our bolts through there. Let's make sure we get these lined up. There's one. There's 2, 3, and 4. There we go. And now we're going to put the nuts on the back side of it here. And this makes a great table to work on, basically. We're able to put this whole thing in a press now. We can press these shafts out safely. Again, though, you can see this guy wants to impact that shaft too. So make sure when you're doing all this, you have a just fold up a nice towel and then spin that even gear until it's interlaced there, okay? The other thing that we have to do before we try to start pressing them apart is this shift interlock right here. You can see that has to be removed, and it's just a little snap ring, a washer, and it won't fall out, but as you're pressing them apart, it will slide over and come out easily. So you need to have the snap ring and the washer off before you begin pressing it apart. Now to get these out, we're going to do the same thing. Drill a small pilot hole, put that threaded screw in there, use a puller to pop those out. This also, not these seals, we use a different tool for all of these. I'll show you later. But for the main shaft seal, very carefully, we're going to drill a pilot hole at an angle there. There are 2 seals here, and we're going to work it out. I'll show you in a moment. Okay, now I've very carefully drilled holes in all these, and especially here. You want to keep it away from the shaft. You don't want to damage the shaft or the casing. And there's a step down inside there, which I'll show you in a moment. So be very careful with that. We're going to go ahead and put this in there. Show you what that looks like here. And now we can use our puller tool. Go ahead and work this in there and start working our magic. And as you can see, it just came right out. They came out together, okay? And no damage to the shaft, no damage to the case. Very important we do that so we don't damage anything there. And then this is trash. And you can see there's a circlip there. We use our snap ring pliers to remove that. If it's binding, just use a punch, and on the edge of it, let me see if I have a punch here. Just like this, we're gonna tap, 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 and carefully remove the tension from that. On this shaft and this shaft, we have the tool, those big pipe tools I'll show you. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this and get it down to where we're gonna press it next. You're gonna use something to cover the pinion if you are using a bunch of spacers to try to do this. So, make sure you protect that pinion at all costs. It's very hard to replace. I put a 2x12 cut to length here just in case anything falls. That way it lands on something a little bit softer than steel or iron. And then it's pretty simple. You just align the press with the shaft, and these 2 shafts have to come out together because that gear is interlocked there. So we're going to press this one down until it just about meets that one, and then we'll press this one down. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust this, and most of the time you can just do this by hand without even using the rod. I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm just pumping this by hand here. But sometimes they get stuck and are very difficult, and in that case you may have to press with something a little bit more. There you go. You heard it just pop, and we can go another press there. Okay, great. Now you can see it's very close there. So we'll go ahead and release this and then slide it over. And in my case, I'm going to just use this extension here and this socket to reach up to that height. Okay, here we go. And now we'll just go ahead and press this one down. And it also just moved right there. We've got it to where, yep, see this is touching right here. We don't want to push on that too much more. So we'll go ahead and Release that and pull this out of the way. Lock that down. Slide it over. Okay, now again, when you're doing this, something to remember is there's a little lock or prevention part right here, this double lock prevention, which right here, you can see right here, see? I have gone ahead and removed the snap ring on that, and that will come out nicely with this. The other thing I remember too is the reverse idler gears here, and when you press down too low on the even shaft, this will come out. So we've got a towel there to prevent any kind of impact, but in just a moment we'll go ahead and remove that as well. Let's go ahead and continue pressing this down. We'll just release this up a little bit more. Put this here. And again, one more pump. There we go. This one's coming out really easy.